fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
The West is the best. At least I think so. When winds blow offshore, west, northwest especially, bunker nose up into the wind and striper action can turn hot and heavy along the beach. But sometimes being on the beach can get a little frustrating. Here I stand, plug in hand, turn with my back to the wind. Or, as Eminem said, the music, the moment, you own it. You better never let it go. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance. Waiting for that one shot when big bunker busting stripers pour across the bar and within casting range, hoping they do. Didn't happen for me in that opening video from Sunday in Brick Beach, but that was then, and this is now. I'm Jim Hutchinson, New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman Magazine. It's the week of October 23rd, and it's going off somewhere here at the Jersey Shore. Pardon the musical references, but our fall striper run simply rocks. Just ask Dean Ween. Diener, alongside of bassist Les Claypool fishing with Ricky Donofrio Monday for a little taste of fall outside of Shark River. Now, I talked to Mickey. He said Les Claypool's Fearless Flying Frog Brigade was playing in Montclair on Tuesday, and then Les had to go out to Philly to play the Fillmore on Wednesday. One of the greatest bass players in rock. Number one right now, as far as I'm concerned, from the band Primus, sampling some of this outstanding Jersey action. Of course, Mickey, Melchiondo, Dean Ween. He's probably one of the greatest guitar players of my generation right now. If you've never listened to him, go find Dean's music. Fantastic. So where am I? Anyway, that this crowd of people enjoying the striper bite. Well, I'll tell you what, it's not the blitz conditions. My goal in the next several weeks is to stand here on the beach while fish are blitzing behind me. And I found them earlier this week. Today, it's a pencil bite. And I can't tell you exactly where this bite is, out of respect to those folks that are already crowded along the beach. But for a hint, I would recommend that you pick up the New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman Magazine, the November edition. It's out in newsstands this week. Subscribers, you already got a copy. Another great cover shot by Captain Scotty Sevens, because we have a lot of tog in the November edition, a lot of tog info. That's because the bag limit on tog in New Jersey goes up several fish as of November 16th. But on the striper front, check out Dr. Adam Aguiar's story on page 20. Now, last year, Adam got into the Thanksgiving Day massacre along the beach in Ocean County. But he offers some valuable tips in finding those fish right now as October comes to an end. And that's as close as I'm going to come to telling you where guys are pencil popping 40-inch class fish off the beach right now. Again, take a look at Adam's article, plot it out, figure it out, and you'll know, of course, where the best striped bass action is in the Garden State. Of course, the glossy section, too, is packed with valuable info. Scott Newhall, he packs his travel gear, talks about what you need to do considering where you might travel. We got in touch with some top surfcasters for a look inside their plug bag for November. Shell Karras, George Bucci, they're both in there. Choosing the right captain, charter boat captain for those away games. And again, those top tog tips up and down the coast. We talked to a bunch of different people. We also talked to Nick Honachewski, who laid out some of the options for headboat sea bass, because that is a popular endeavor if you're not walking these beaches to get out on those wrecks, reefs, and snags. Now back to the beach. I am getting a lot of photos from folks enjoying the front end of the fall blitzes at the Jersey Shore. I say front end because there's plenty of action ahead of us as more of those fish come out from the east and from the north, right? This is just the beginning. And there's various size bunker in the mix. There's the adults, there's the little peanuts, and there's the in-betweeners, what Nick Honachewski calls the cupcakes. So plan your voyage to the beach or out on the boat accordingly, right? Shell Karras, he shared this online this week, and he also shared it in the Fisherman Magazine, November edition. Match the hatch, right? Bunker in the wash, number one option, especially when they're up close. And boy, I hope they're blitzing behind me, but I still don't see them. When they're in close, piling on bunker, those swim shads. Try the NLBNs, the Tsunami, white swim shads. Find the bait, find the blitz, find the fish. As far as those swim shads, You can work them fast, you can work them slow. A lot of times we'll live line them. You know, I'll just let them sit, jig them off the bottom. You got to figure out what the best bite is. You know, sometimes it's going parallel to the beach, sometimes perpendicular. Soft swim shads, you can't go wrong. Young Josh Leone found solid bass action over the past weekend. Yeah, waders are nice, but it's not necessary. It's still warming up here. I'm hot today. And you don't need triple plug bags or a spool of 6 bundles of leader around your belt. Look at Josh getting in on the action, stripped down, doing his thing. David Double D's Wankowski had a 47-incher on the beach the other day, 10 a.m., new personal best, tsunami talking popper. Yeah, there's some big fish in the mix. I had 5 or 6 of them on Tuesday. 5 of them were well into the 40-inch range. I did get in on this, so yeah, just a half dozen fish for me from this movable feast. You can see some of the boats that are off the beach. So again, these bunker are moving their way back and forth down the beach. Where you'll find them, you don't know. The Buffalo Stampede is certainly on. So yeah, I mentioned the pencils, the metal lips, the soft swim shads, and of course bucktails. Make sure they're in the mix as well. But there's a lot of rain bait along the beach as well. So you want to take some tins too, because the false albies are still around. I did see a whole bunch of rain bait on the beach in Brick earlier this week, so keep that in mind. But that should be our lineup, right? The pencils, especially in conditions like I'm looking at right now, the fish are on the outside. They're not blitzing, but they're here. Some guys, I've seen several 40-inch fish caught and released here. The pencils, the metal lips when they're in close, the swim shads when they're in close, and of course bucktails will always get the job done as well. Now as we head south along the Jersey shore, the Jersey beaches, heading down into LBI, for example, that 9-week LBI Surf Fishing Classic is continuing. That goes all the way through December. They've seen a smattering of weigh-ins, but a 48-incher right now stands atop the leaderboard in the catch, photo, release, Surf Masters division. So if you're gunning for that trophy, 48 inches is now the top dog in that LBI Classic. Also, Tog coming in hot and heavy from the South Jetty at Barnegat Light. I saw there's also a 6+ pound bluefish on the board as well. So that's a good sign for the fall run ahead, especially as we head into Southern Ocean County. As far as those jumbo stripers being off of LBI, we heard from Forked River fish hawk Val Seafelt. Caught herself a new personal best this week, taping out at 50 inches. It was on a live line bunker right outside the Barnegat, right outside of Barnegat Inlet. Val says, quote, "The New Jersey Shore striper run is on." It absolutely is. Start using up those sick days soon. But while that big run of big striped bass remains in the northern half of the Garden State, pretty much LBI and to the north, we are getting some solid reports down into Atlantic County. Guys like Dave Scholl at Absecon Bay, Violet from Chestnut Neck, the folks over at Allen's Dock on the Bass River. Justin's telling me there's some really good striper action to be had in the Mullica River down into Great Bay as well. In fact, behind Brigantine, the action is getting pretty good. Andy Grossman told me he's going to slip out, or he was slipping out with First Mate Carolyn on Greg Marr charters for an expedition in the Outback. And if Andy's leaving the shop, there's 2 things to consider. A, he's heading down to Florida for the winter, or B, there must be a good bite. Now, Andy did say there's a smattering of stripers on the front beaches, on the Rock in Brigantine. Think the same thing down into Atlantic City as well. But the tog fishing on the jetties there at Absecon Inlet has been top notch so far. So yeah, tog on the jetties all the way down into Atlantic and Cape May counties. And of course, striped bass in those backwaters on the sedges. I know Dave Scholl will drift some live spots from time to time. He loves the Gulp Nemesis. I love the poppers. I love those Stillwater Smacket Juniors, the Intent Tackle Back Bay series as well, and the Azuri 3D Inshore working along those sod banks. Take down those trebles wherever you can. The one thing that I've noticed along a couple of stretches of beaches where some of these big fish are being caught, take really good care of the release. Be prepared to get wet to release some of these big fish. They're fighting really hard and they're really big, and really tamp down those trebles. I watched somebody walk off the beach with a treble impaled in their hand this week. That's one of the reasons, probably the primary reason, why I take down my trebles. Now, Mike Martello, he hit Corson's Inlet on Sunday and said he was hoping for striped bass and bluefish, but the only critter to get his arrival notice was a skate. Glass half full kind of guy he is. Mike said the visual highlight of the day was this. He went on to say, quote, I figure anyone who loves to fish most likely appreciates nature's purely random beauty. Rainbow right over there. He also said, I'm sure it's easier on the eye than a boat tour of the wind turbines. Somebody saw my video last week. The scab is picked, the bear is poked, the door, it's off its hinges. I do have more detailed construction info from Orsted as it relates to Island Beach this week, and a message, another weak and deceptive message from the keyboard cowboy himself, DEP Commissioner Sean LaTourette, in a few minutes. But first, let's start thinking about that tog fishery, right? We've got them in on the jetties, we've got them in on the rocks, and pretty soon we're going to be heading off to the reefs, wrecks, and snags to take advantage of that Jersey Shore bag limit increase on November 16th. With that said, let's check in with Jenni Ackerman for some tog biology on Open Boat.
Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Open Boat. Today we're going to be talking about my favorite fish species. We're going to be talking about the blackfish, or tautog, whatever you like to call it. So the blackfish is a member of the wrasse family. So they have those big lips, the teeth, they're bottom dwellers. The coloration on them, they range from black to brown to that rust color. Some grays. When they're first born, they are green. And then the females and the smaller males have a black chin, whereas those bigger males have that classic white chin. They're known not to be the prettiest fish, but I think they're adorable. They have very stout bodies and a very powerful thick tail that allows them to swim back down into wrecks and break your jig off. They have those distinctive conical teeth in the front of their mouths, and then further back they have more of a flat set of teeth that they use for gnawing on their diet of crabs, mussels, barnacles, other shellfish, stuff that they feed on. They need those stronger teeth to crack down on that hard outer shell and get into the meat. So both the males and females mature at about 3 to 4 years old. And when a female is mature in spawn season, they spawn from April through July. The average female, let's say like about a 12-inch female, can lay 30,000 eggs per season. But if you imagine a 5-pound, 20-inch female, she can lay almost 6 times more than what that 12-incher can lay per season. So those are some little biological tidbits on my favorite fish, the blackfish. I'm gonna post up the current regulations for the species for all the regions here covered by the Fisherman Magazine. We're gonna head out and we're gonna jig up some blackfish for ourselves to feature as a cameo on this week's Open Boat. All right, so we're literally out here in the field. Just caught a little slippery one on the jig, and we're going to quickly release it. With blackfishing, like in here, these ones are like pets, and you want to quickly release them after you catch them because all those double-digit blackfish start out small. You got to appreciate the little ones like that buddy right there, and make sure you always follow the fishing regulations when you're blackfishing, especially on a small wreck piece. Keep your limit, respect it, put fish back if they're too small, revive the big ones, and just follow the rules.
Also in the mix now with those blackfish at those wrecks, black sea bass from all the way up the northern stretch of New Jersey, all the way down to Cape May, into Lewis, and Indian River Inlet as well. Now I'm supposed to hop aboard Captain Bob Cope's full ahead sport fishing out of Cape May sometime next week to target those knotheads. I did see where Bob posted that he had a charter last week that decked a 4.6 pound black sea bass. Now that would have been a 10-point category lead in the Fisherman Magazine's Dreamboat Fishing Challenge. So let's go check out the leaderboard and see if Bill here is a fisherman subscriber who perhaps ran that big knothead over to Hands 2 Bait and Tackle for weigh-in. Tim, what's the deal with the Dreamboat leaderboard?
After a few weeks of inactivity, the Dreamboat Challenge is starting to heat up ahead of the final month of the competition. Luke Citarelli, inactive on the board since the summer, came in hot with a 9.75-pound blackfish that now leads the category. Kyle Kraus pulled the hero moves out, entering 2 top-tier fish. The first was a category-leading sea bass weighing in at 4.9 pounds. The second was a 8.2-pound blackfish that landed him in second for the category. We also saw a 8.13-pound tog weighed in by Vincent Ferrara, taking third in the category. The top 3 saw some big moves. Third place is now held by Luke Citarelli with 23 points, nipping at the heels of our second place angler Bobby Cifarelli with 24 points. And our new leader is Kyle Kraus, holding positions in a whopping 6 categories, combining for a commanding score of 34 points. Top 3 mainstay Eddie Terabile has been knocked out of the competition for now. We'll see if he can answer the call next week. The Dreamboat Fishing Challenge is the Fisherman subscriber-only multi-species fishing competition with a chance to win a 21-foot Steiger Craft center console powered by Yamaha, along with many other great prizes. Visit thefisherman.com to subscribe and get all the details so you can be part of the action.
We'll take a look at a few upcoming events in New Jersey and the latest full update from Orsted at Island Beach State Park on that ongoing work. But first, let's spend 2 minutes out west. Check in with my friend George, the Pocono Outdoors guy.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. You know, I think we're in for a much better weekend this weekend than things have been over the past, several weekends. You know, we just couldn't get a break with all the rain and terrible weather when it came time to get out and fish. This week, I think we're in for a bit of a change. Looks like good seasonal temperatures, maybe even a little bit above. Conditions should be really good to get out and wet a line and get on some of these fish. The trout are doing really good both in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Our regulars checking in, both Jen Wong and Eric Goodstill over here in Pennsylvania, still fishing that extended season, but the water temperatures are great and fish are being really active, getting some nice rainbow trout and also some brown trout as well. So be sure you guys take some time and get out on that bite as well this weekend. I also got an email from my good friend Tim Kleber, guide on the Delaware River. He said, George, look at this smallmouth Ken Lennon caught out on the Delaware with a guided fishing trip. And I'll tell you what, he said it was 4 pounds. I think he's being a little conservative. That is a fantastic smallmouth. And I tell you, I'd be really glad to catch them all day long myself. So great work there, Ken, and good work, Tim, as well. Now, elsewhere, guys are out looking for things to fish. Nick Canestra down in the lower Susquehanna area, out hitting some of the lakes in that area. He was out fishing some largemouth and finding some real bucket mouths down there as well. So the fishing seems to be really good everywhere, kicking in hind gear as this season starts to turn over with those lakes. Just a note, guys, the Pennsylvania Fish Commission did issue the notice. PFDs are required if you're in a kayak, a canoe, or any boat under 16 feet. At or under 16 feet. So be sure to wear those PFDs after November 1st. So we want to make sure you guys got that info. For more information on that, you guys can check out fishingboat.com. Guys, if you're not out fishing this week and you just don't fish, I'll tell you what, it's going to be the best it's been in weeks. Get out, send us those pics. And from Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors guy.
A chill in the air. It's about time to start thinking about those warm getaways someplace tropical for some fishing. One of my favorite places to go, Marina Pez Vela in Capos. Let's check in with Captain Ben, Jackpot Sport Fishing in Capos, Costa Rica.
Hey there guys, this is Ben Gilmore from down here in Costa Rica and the Marina Pez Vela. We are super excited right now. We're just 3 weeks away from our first tournament of the new season, the Dorado Derby. We cannot wait for that one, guys. Right on cue, the Dorados have arrived and we've just got some insane fishing going on right now. Only yesterday, aboard my boat Good Day, we caught 22 Dorados, an absolutely insane day. Just a few days back, we caught a sailfish, 12 yellowfin tuna, and 30 Dorados. Yes, you heard me right, guys. 30 Dorados in a day. There's been a few blue marlin out there. We hooked a striped marlin the other day. And inshore, there's been a few jacks, mackerel, and rooster fish as well. Guys, get yourselves down here. We got plenty of boats available, plenty of availability the next few months, and we'd love to see you here in Costa Rica.
Now this Saturday, October 28th, the 5th Annual American Angler Surf Fishing Tournament will be held on LBI. Registration is from 5:30 a.m. until 7 a.m. at the Ship Bottom Fire Hall. That's on Central Avenue in Ship Bottom. Make a right as you're heading on to the island. But if you want some more details on that, the fishing actually gets underway at 7 a.m. You can call Craig at 704-996-4924. Industrial wind supporters, you can turn off this week's video right now, because we're going to update you on what's going on at Island Beach State Park. Now, in last week's video fishing forecast regarding the NJDEP Montclair survey to anglers related to their thoughts on industrial offshore wind, one viewer remarked how he hoped I'm, quote, getting paid a lot to shill this fossil fuel industry propaganda about wind farms. No, Chris, I get paid by the readers of the Fisherman Magazine and the advertisers, the captains, the tackle shops, and the manufacturers. Last time I got paid by the fossil fuel industry, I was a 20-year-old college student working my way through college at Store Shell in Manahawkin, New Jersey. Ah, the old days. I do find it funny, though, that a lot of the industrial offshore wind supporters, if they're not calling me a climate change denier or tinfoil cap wearer, they say, you're in bed with the fossil fuel industry. But who are these industrial wind developers anyway? Well, actually, they're fossil fuel companies. The Norwegian oil giant Equinor, BP Renewables, that's BP as in British Petroleum, and there's of course Royal Dutch Shell. You've no doubt waited in line to get gas at a Shell station, right? This graphic that you see on the screen right now, it's courtesy of WBUR Public Radio in Boston, and shows how the big players in industrial offshore wind are the very same fossil fuel industries critics like me are apparently in bed with. Of course, the other big player in the industrialization of our inshore waters is Orsted, formerly known as DONG. DONG stood for Danish Oil and Natural Gas. It's 50% owned by Denmark, with significant investor cash from the folks at Goldman Sachs. Now, Orsted made headlines immediately after the Russian invasion of Ukraine for saying it would continue to buy gas from Russia despite the call for worldwide sanctions. In fact, at that time, the CEO, Mads Nipper, he was quoted in Reuters as saying this, quote, shortfalls in gas supplies have severe human and societal influences. That's your green energy spokesman talking about the need for gas. Speaking of which, here's the latest from Orsted. Now we'll get you into the news. My rant is over. This is the facts. The latest from Orsted on their fall construction work at Island. Well, there were other stuff with fact too. The latest work at Island Beach State Park. We got an email notification this week says starting as early as next Thursday, the industrial offshore wind developers plan on starting their horizontal directional drilling off Island Beach. Those chasing bunker schools in the park and right outside, take note of that. I don't know what kind of impact this is going to have on you, and I don't have any kind of knowledge on what it's going to do to the turbidity in the water, the clarity of the water, or our access to the beaches. We shall find out. But in charts shared by Orsted, that Danish company says the segment of work involves the excavation of a cable exit pit. It's about 900 feet off the swimming area in Island Beach State Park. They're going to be towing conduit and pulling that conduit through the area cleared by the horizontal directional drilling, and that should last about 3 weeks. In addition, a research vessel called the Henry Hudson is expected to be doing some high-resolution geophysical surveying along the Ocean One wind route from Atlantic City and Ocean City in that area all the way along to Island Beach State Park, where those high-powered cables will be run through the park and through the Barnegat Bay and along the bottom of the Barnegat Bay estuary. Now, strangely, I find this odd, NJDEP Commissioner Sean LaTourette told the Lavalette Seaside Shore Beat that there's nothing to see there. that social media and layperson reports are causing a lot of concern, but there's nothing going on at Island Beach State Park. Now here's a warning to mainstream reporters, who no doubt do not watch this video, but take note of when you ask Commissioner LaTourette a question, the time of day, for example. If you ask him at noon during the Orsted Union lunch break, is there work going on at Island Beach? Arguably, the lawyer in charge of our environmental resources, he's going to tell you, theoretically, quote, at the time of your inquiry, no offshore wind-related activities were underway at Island Beach State Park. So don't ask the commissioner at night when nobody's working. 20 years ago, as managing editor of the Fisherman Magazine, when I first started, I frequently called then DEP Commissioner Brad Campbell the worst DEP commissioner of all time. Then Commissioner LaTourette showed up and said, here, hold my beer. Sorry, Mr. Campbell, but you're now number 2. You're in second place on the list. I know that not everyone shares my view of industrial offshore wind. I'm only concerned about the fish and the fishermen, and of course, government transparency. I am honored to have been invited by a group called Protect Our Coast, New Jersey. They're having a fundraising banquet at the Flanders Hotel in Ocean City, New Jersey. That's on Thursday, November 9th. Tickets are $100. I'll be there giving a speech. Senator Testa is going to be there and some other folks. If you really want to get the lowdown on industrial wind and you don't want to see those turbines out there, check out this event. You can visit protectourcoastnj.com to find out more. I've had my back to these guys for so long, I don't know if you've seen anything caught. A little while ago there were. And as soon as I pack up this gear and leave, they'll be back here again. But the movable feast is moving up and down the Jersey Shore right now. It's happening somewhere. And if I look at the NOAA weather, the marine weather forecast for the next several days, it looks like a lot of southwest today, Thursday, as well as Friday, and then it turns from the west as of Saturday morning. As John the Fisherman says, this is Les Claypool's Primus song, I think before my days are done, I want to be a fisherman. I think I'll die as a fisherman. Rock on, enjoy the run. It's just getting started. And the next time I bring you the video fishing forecast from the beach, I hope to God to be doing it in front of a boiling bass blitz on bunker flying out of the water. Stay tuned, we will get to that in a future edition right here at thefisherman.com.